What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today is the day Ghostbusters Afterlife releases tonight. I will be there. I cannot wait, and I will review that movie. But first, we do have to finish the Ghostbusters review series leading up to the movie, and I got to talk about the reboot, Ghostbusters 2016. It's crazy because for so many years after those first two movies, from my childhood all the way up through my 20s, through most of my 30s, I'm waiting for Ghostbusters 3. What's up with the sequel? I mean, Ghostbusters 2 made money. What's the holdup? And then tragically, Harold Ramis passes away, and now, well, guess y'all blew it. I mean, you could still do it, and, it's going to happen tonight finally, but obviously Harold Ramis, passing away, you're never going to be able to bring back the original four actors, and that sucked. But then came the announcement that they are going to finally release another Ghostbusters movie, but it's going to be a total reboot, complete reboot. And we're also going to gender swap all four of them. And you're sitting there like, this happens just during the time when, this politically charged environment starts taking over movies. And it comes to a point where if you don't like some movies, you're going to be called certain things. And at some point, you have to just accept that and be honest about the movies. Because anybody who wants to call you sexist, racist, because you don't like a movie, that person is just simply a moron. So don't worry about what they have to say. Because, obviously the vast majority of us sci-fi fans, we love movies like Terminator and Sarah Connor. And she is badass and awesome. We love her in Terminator, Terminator 2. We love movies like Alien and Aliens. And Ripley is absolutely awesome, a legendary character. I mean, we don't have to explain ourselves if we don't like this particular movie, which I don't. And the fact of the matter is, the reason, is it because they're all females now? No, it's because the movie sucks. Of course, we would have preferred the original four Ghostbusters Return, but you could have recasted them and used four different guys. You could have used a mixture. You could have done all women like you did. I don't think that specifically is why this movie sucks. In fact, it's not. In fact, these women are very funny in general in other movies, but in this particular movie, and I'll talk about why I think that is, they were not funny. And a big problem does stem from the fact that why are you making this movie? Are you making this movie because you have an original idea, an original concept, and you think you can even, either improve upon or at least make something really fun and entertaining that's a little different spin on the original, and that's why you're making it? No, you're making it for identity politics, trying to prove how hilarious these four women can be, and even they can be better than the men. And of course, there's this message that men suck, because every single man in this movie is a complete moron or asshole or psycho weirdo. I mean, that's it. That's your options for the men in this movie. It's so on the nose, too. They kill the final villain by shooting him in the balls. That aside, though, there are lots of little, F you at men throughout the movie, which is annoying. But you know what? I'm going to give this movie a fair shake, and I'm going to review it based on the merit of the actual movie, the plot, the dialogue, and everything else. And let's just ignore that. Although I will talk about, Chris Hemsworth's character there behind me in a little bit. But I just watched this again. Well, actually, I started it last night. I couldn't get through it. I could not get through it. I had to finish it this morning. If you get through this movie in one sitting, whew, I got more respect for you than a triathloner. So I'm going to give this movie a fair review. And, it starts out okay. Just like the 1984 classic, you got this minor character who's getting attacked by a ghost. And then that scene ends and boom, the, credits roll and you start the movie. And I thought it was okay, but instead of the librarian from the original 1984, in this movie, we have Gabe from The Office. And I thought him being the tour guide and giving that kind of scary story to the visitors of the museum, it was interesting. It was cool. It was a cool tone. So, hey, I'm going to give it its credit there. It started out okay. Not as legendary and awesome as the 1984 classic, with their library cards going crazy. And that was really cool. Because this one, there was some, again, the humor starts right off. Like little jokes, intertwined in there within, and it waters down the horror, it waters down the sci-fi and the ghosts and all that. And that is a theme throughout the entire movie. Just the attempted, I'm not going to call it humor, the attempted humor never stops. And I think a big problem is not necessarily the casting of these four women. I think they all could have done a good job, but the script and the method of filming, which is, hey, do whatever you want, be funny, action, be funny, action. And you just have no diversity in the personalities, or very little in the personalities of these four. They're all constantly cracking jokes, Melissa McCarthy style, throughout the entire movie, they're just yelling at each other and yelling throughout, being funny, be funny, be funny, be funny. And you can't tell them apart practically, as opposed to the original Ghostbusters. And I will be comparing this movie because they asked for that comparison when they decided that we are going to take this beloved property and remake it and follow the same story beats. So don't be like, you can't compare it to the, what do you mean I can't compare it? They called it Ghostbusters and they tried to pretty much do the same plot except change little things up throughout, and everything they changed, they did worse than the original. Clearly, they tried to cast these four to kind of be counterparts to the original. But they're so horrible because all of them are constantly just loud, making jokes and trying to be funny, and very rarely are. And it's not so much that they're not funny women, it's that the director said, go be funny, and so they just were funny the entire time. And then in the editing room, they just threw it all in there, not understanding how to edit humor, not understanding how punchlines work, not understanding the nuances of humor, and not understanding that we're not a bunch of 5-year-old morons. But I digress a little bit. I was going to say, in the original, you had only one guy. One of the Ghostbusters was really the joke-cracking funny dude, and that was Peter Venkman, of course, played by Bill Murray. He was the guy who was always cracking jokes. But you also had Ray, who was kind of the goofy guy who would make mistakes, and he was funny in his own right, but just in a different way. He wasn't a guy who was just constantly making jokes. And then you have Egon, the straight man, right? The scientist, the socially awkward guy who's very quiet, but very interesting when he talks science, and sometimes he can be funny because he is the straight man and he has his opportunities, to make us laugh, and he genuinely does so because of that dynamic relationship between the four and that they're so different. And then finally, Winston, and this is just a normal guy looking for a job. He said, if there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe whatever you say. He's the guy who's in jail, and when they were talking about their story about all the ghosts, he's like, look, if y'all going to be talking about ghosts and stuff, I'm going to have to get my own lawyer. Like, he reminds us of ourselves, like in that situation. The dude is just a normal guy. He does see what's going on, and he's funny in his own right as well because of his personality, not just constantly being loud and throwing jokes. He's a guy who kind of just, he adds humor by his responses to the other guys. And it just, all in all, a perfect team, a perfect mix. Here in Ghostbusters 2016, just constant yelling, trying to be funny, similar kind of humor, disgusting jokes, fart jokes, like just jokes that go on and on and on and on. I don't even blame them so much as the editing. Again, they didn't know how to edit these jokes. They just said, be funny. And that's the problem with that. You can have some of that, improv, but you also need to have a script that, shows the characters bouncing off each other, and have a good solid script. Have them help with the script if you want to do it that way. One scene, they were talking about the cat's out of the bag, that expression, and it went on for felt like 2-3 minutes. Like going back and forth, the cat's out of the bag. Well, the cat can be put in the bag, right? The cat can go back in the bag. It's like, no, the cat can't go back in the bag because that's the joke. That's why you say the cat's out of the bag. Yeah, but they're putting the cat back in the bag. And then the other guy's like, no, the cat's going back in the bag. See, because the cat can go back in the bag. No. Cat goes out of the bag. The cat means it's out. Permanently out. No, but in this case, the cat's going back in the bag. And you're just like, shut the hell up. And let's talk about the assistant in the Janine role. You had Janine. What a character. She does make her little... By the way, there are some just disrespectful cameos in this movie. Janine makes a cameo. Pretty much all of the Ghostbusters, other than, of course, Egon, because, like I said, his actor passed away. All the others make brief cameos that don't do anything funny or worthwhile, although Bill Murray's character actually played a pretty important role, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I felt those cameos were just insulting. If you're able to get them all back, why not just make a damn sequel? But I digress again. You have Chris Hemsworth as the new secretary. And, he's just a complete, utter moron to a level that doesn't exist. There are some dumb people out there, but not like this. I mean, just, it's like a 3-year-old. Again, like not even an adult or anything. Like seriously, I feel like it's almost an insult to people with, who are mentally disabled, because they're making fun of that practically. That's how bad he is. How dumb they're trying to make him. Makes like this guy he's got some kind of a mental problem. Like he's got something wrong with him.
We all did it.
Well, what did you do, Kevin?
I did a lot, actually. I'll have you know that I walked over to the power box, pushed a bunch of buttons, everything got sucked into the portal, then it closed up.
Kev. Sweet Kev, the two are unrelated.
More important question, when did you have time to get a sandwich?
Oh, when I was looking for you guys, I looked in that deli over there.
When we were risking our lives trying to save New York City, you stopped in to get a sandwich?
Look, we're splitting hairs, okay? Potatoes, tomatoes. It doesn't matter. Point is, the Ghostbusters are back together again, okay?
This guy was over the top stupid. And then there's the villain Rowan. Now in this case, Rowan, I don't know if he's stupid. I don't know if he's an asshole. Well, he kind of is, but he's certainly a weirdo. So he's the weirdo of the Greek. We've got to make sure we hit all the beats of every kind of bad individual male we can find in this movie. So we have our assholes, we have our just dumb morons, and we have to have our sick weirdo as well, because that's pretty much what encompasses men, right? Those are, what we're going to go with here. So anyway, yeah, this guy's just a complete weirdo. And, he does come across as weird, but he's not intimidating. He's not scary. He's not even comes across as an asshole like Peck from the original. He's just a weirdo, and it's just not a very good villain, in my opinion. And I said I would mention, Bill Murray's character again, because, the actions of these Ghostbusters, these women, they don't even make them very likable, because they're just constantly, everything is a joke to them. Even Aaron, who, if anyone should be kind of the serious character, it should be her, because she was actually a professor, and she was, trying to make a career, a respectful career. And, you have her, and then there's the point where Bill Murray's character in this is just another scientist who doesn't believe him. He shows up one time, he's like, prove it to me, show me the ghost, because you all have a ghost captured there. Why don't you show it to me? And Aaron, just desperate to prove that she's not crazy, releases the ghost. Which is insane in and of itself, but she decides she really wants to show him that this ghost is real. She releases the ghost. The ghost then immediately pushes Bill Murray out of the window, and he falls, apparently to his death. At least that's what it appears at the time. Either his death or he is seriously injured. And the next scene, when the police are there questioning them, she's joking around, completely lighthearted, and making jokes with Melissa McCarthy's character. And you're looking at Aaron, are we supposed to like her? Because she looks like a heartless bitch. And really nothing works in this movie. Nothing works. There's one joke that I thought was funny, and that was in the trailer. And that's when she was like, the power of Christ compels you, and slapped her, trying to get the ghost out, who we already saw had already gotten out. I thought that was somewhat original and funny, but there may have been a couple moments that were semi-funny, but even those were not, the timing was off, and the editing was off. And I think that's the biggest problem. I think in the editing room, I think they just didn't do a very good job of putting the jokes together. That's because they weren't written. They just let them go and do what they want, and then they just put it all in there and let jokes go on and on and on, and then the jokes that didn't go on and on were just dumb 5-year-old, 10-year-old fart jokes, and that final product is just, it's just an annoying movie. Has no horror, because all the horror is completely watered down by the attempted humor. The sci-fi elements, okay, the special effects are cool and upgraded because it's, 20-something years later. It's to be expected. I mean, of course, the special effects are better. You have a giant budget. You have tens of millions of dollars to make the movie. I would hope the special effects look cool, and they do. I mean, it's just a bad movie, not to mention just, plot conveniences and all that, the typical trash talk that we give on movies that suck. It's got all of them. It's not the worst movie ever made. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've seen worse, but still trash. Absolute 100% unpurified trash. And if that's going to make people call me sexist, go ahead. I really don't care, because you're not a very smart person, because I've just vocalized the problems with this movie. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're all female. I have no problem with that at all, if that's how they wanted to do it, but also the reason for doing it, so that they can shit on men the entire movie and send this, political propaganda, so to speak, out there. So that's really, the problem is your goal. If you have a goal of making a great movie, hey, and you have a great idea and you have a great concept, I don't care who you cast, but that's just not the case. They just took the original to make money, took all the beats, and then they tried to just do their own thing out there, and it completely fell on its face, because it sucks, and that's, I stand by that. This movie sucks. So hope you guys have a great day. I can't wait for tonight, though. Stay tuned. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Could suck too, but I highly mother effing doubt it's going to be as bad as this one. We'll see, though. Tonight, we'll see. Maybe, can it be any better than Ghostbusters 2? Well, that's a pretty high bar in my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see. I can't wait, guys. So we'll see. Ghostbusters Afterlife. But as for this one, absolute trash. You guys have a great day.